Welcome to this week's edition of Black Authors Matter TV, where we interview the latest movers and shakers in the African American literary community. You'll meet some old friends, discover new ones, and stay abreast of the latest book developments around the country and even the world. So sit back and relax for the next 2 hours with Black Authors Matter TV co-hosts Gwen Richardson and Dr. Rhonda Lawson.
Good evening and welcome to Black Authors Matter TV. It's May 2nd. We're in the month of May. And we're excited about another amazing show for you. At the top of the show, I'm Gwen Richardson, your host for tonight, along with my co-host,
Dr. Rhonda Lawson. Good evening, everyone.
I should know to do that by now. So at the beginning of the show, we're going to have a few announcements, and then we're going to bring on our first guest. And first, you all really showed out in voting for the Black Authors Matter TV Awards. And we had close to 3,000 ballots, and you all really voted. So we're excited about the May 16th award show. And we have a promo video that we're going to be promoting on our social media platforms. And I'm just waiting for my final copy. But it's amazing. The video is beautiful. And we're going to be posting it on Facebook and our Instagram pages. So be on the lookout for that. And then if you're planning to register for the National Black Book Festival, the standard registration ends May 31st. We're close to 80% capacity. So don't delay if you want to sign up.
Time and space running out. So time and space are running out.
Space is running out. So we do have our next book club kickback on June 13th with Connie Briscoe with her new book, You Never Know. So those are three things I want to talk about at the beginning. And now I want to bring on our first guest. We have two books to give away, but we'll do that at the end of this first interview. So our first guest is somewhat unusual in terms of he's an author and a violinist.
Ooh.
And his books are about violin. And his name is Brendan Slocumb, and welcome to Black Authors Matter TV. Oh, unmute Brendan for us.
Sorry about that. How are you guys?
We're great. We're doing great. And I wanted to let you know, I have bought your first book, The Violin Conspiracy. I haven't read it yet, but as the people who watch the show know, my to-be-read shelves, I don't just have one shelf. I have multiple to-be-read, but it's on my list of books to get to. And then you have a follow-on sequel called Symphony of Secrets. So this is a different kind of story. And first of all, tell us a little bit about your violin playing and how long you've been doing that and when you became interested.
Absolutely. First, thank you guys so much for having me here. It's a real honor to be with you guys tonight. I started playing violin when I was 9 years old in a public school music program in North Carolina. And I originally just wanted to get out of class twice a week. That was my motivation in the 5th grade. So it actually turned out that not only was it fun, but I was pretty good at it. So I kept up with it, and my teachers saw that, I had something, and they encouraged it. And the mentorship that I had just really helped to keep me going. And, I had a lot of help. It took me to college. It took me around the world. It gave me the opportunity to do so many things for the first time and meet so many incredible people. And I've been doing it for 40 plus years now.
Wow.
Wow, that is amazing. Now, where in North Carolina? Because my roots are in North Carolina. My parents were both from North Carolina.
I was raised in Fayetteville, and I went to school in Greensboro.
Oh, okay. Well, those are my stomping grounds. My sister lives in Greensboro, as we speak, but she went to Bennett College. My
Oh,
brother-in-law went to A&T, and my daughter, more recently, went to North Carolina Central, which is in Durham, but it's all in the same area. And I got family all over the place in that area. Where'd you end up going to school?
I ended up going to UNCG.
Oh, okay. Okay. UNC
Well,
Greensboro.
why in the world did you end up in Washington, D.C.?
I taught. I got my degree in music education, and I taught in North Carolina for 4 years. And I had a great job opportunity to teach in Alexandria, Virginia.
Yeah.
So I took it, and I ended up teaching at a high school in Springfield, Virginia, for 11 years, and then I moved around a little bit, and I just kind of settled back in this area.
Well, that's
Okay, so you're in North Carolina now, or
I'm in Washington, D.C. now.
oh, you're in Washington now? Okay,
Mhm.
all right.
we're neighbors. I live in the DMV as well.
Oh, well, okay, all right.
Yeah, and I went to school in Washington, to
Oh,
Georgetown. Not
well,
everybody
see,
assumes Howard,
These small
but yeah, it's a small world.
it really
So,
is.
I wanted to ask, are you familiar with Daniel D? He plays the
Daniel D.
violin. Have you ever heard of him?
Name sounds familiar, but I don't think I know him.
He's a violinist. He's I don't know exactly how old he is. I want to say maybe 35, but he's one besides you. He's the only Black violinist that I know. He plays contemporary. He turns every current song into a violin song. And he does gospel, he does jazz, he does contemporary. Now, where would you place your jazz playing?
Excuse me. I'm not a jazz guy at all. I can't do it. Unlike my protagonist in the book, Ray, he could play anything. I am strictly classical. If it's written down, I can play it. I mean, I can do classical, I can do rock, I can do bluegrass.
Okay.
But improvising with jazz is not my thing. I wish it were.
I will say that I've noticed that there's been, I think, a more popular interest in violin playing these days. And I've seen a lot of mostly young men, but I've seen some women as well who are playing the violin, but they're doing hip hop violin.
I agree. Yeah, it's making a resurgence, and whatever it takes for people to, be exposed to it and just start loving it, the way that I do. Absolutely, I'm all in, 100%. Do it.
Well, how did you fall in love with playing the violin? I know you said it was introduced to you in school, but sometimes people will leave it after they leave school. They kind of put the violin down. Maybe that was the instrument that they were assigned at the time, but then they go on to do something else. What was it that made you fall in love with the instrument?
To be honest, I don't know. It was something that I had never been exposed to. When I heard classical music for the first time, I think I was in third grade, and it just fascinated me. There was always music going on in my house. We listened to everything, in the 70s and 80s, everything from Blondie to TLC to Stevie Wonder and Boston and Kansas and just everything, Marvin Gaye, everything. And I'd never heard any classical music, and classical music would play, back then, in the 20th century, it would play on the weekends, like for a couple of hours. And whenever it came on, I was just fascinated by it. And when I had the opportunity to learn to play the violin, that was always in the back of my mind. And I said to myself, I'm going to play that one day. I'm going to play this. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to do it, but one day I know I'm going to do it. And that stick to itiveness just kind of took over me, and I just loved it. I fell in love with it.
So do you play as a soloist or do you play with an orchestra or both?
Well, I do both. I've played as a soloist around a bunch, and I've played with small ensembles and large orchestras. I recently just had to resign from the Nova Annandale Symphony. I played with them for 17 years. I was a concert master there for about 8 years, and I just, with the book and everything, there's all the touring and interviews and things that I had to do. I just couldn't keep up with the rehearsal schedule and the concert schedule. I'm out of town during a concert. I can't do it. So I'm playing a lot of chamber music now.
Oh, okay. Um, we just had a concert at our church. Well, we did it with another church. It was for Jazz Appreciation Month,
Mhm.
and it was the Duke Ellington. He did a set of spiritual songs,
Mhm.
and I was part of the choral ensemble that sang with the music and with the band. They had a high school band, but it was audition only that played the jazz. So they had to audition for at the first part of the year. They were really, really good.
All right.
So it was I'm not a classical music person, but I like music. I like instruments. And if somebody can play an instrument that really captures the attention, then I love it.
All right.
And it's not enough live instrumentation. We need a lot more of that, to me,
I agree. I
because there's
agree.
too much on computers. And with AI, I'm just wondering if they're going to just totally ruin music and not have anything original, thinking that they can copy. You know,
I-
music comes from the heart. So you can't.
Yeah, I don't know if music is going to be ruined. I mean, I really see people are become a bit more artistic with, even if they're remaking a song, they're actually a bit artistic in the way that they're doing it, and they're putting their spins to it, and it's actually making people want to listen to the originals because they want to know how did the song sound before the hip hop version or the jazzy version. They want to hear those originals now.
Well,
That's
I'm glad
true.
to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. And with the band that played with us on Sunday, it was just hearing instruments. We have a church band, but it's just the keyboards, the drum, a bass, and a lead guitar. That's our general with the choir and praise team. But this was all the instruments in the orchestra. And there was a violinist, but it was more of a bass for the strings.
Mhm.
The bass had more, not the bass guitar, but the big bass.
Right.
It had more of a role than the violin part. So tell us about your book and what made you create a book about violin, a missing violin or a stolen violin. I know I read it and I wanted to get into the meat of it, and I will. But now, is the second book a sequel? Is it a true sequel or is it standalone?
It's just a standalone story. And with the violent conspiracy, summer of 2020 really pushed me to write this book. Because as a working musician, everything stopped. I was actually in the middle of a wedding reception. I was playing when we got the call that like the next 3 weddings were canceled, because no one knew what was going to happen with COVID. And for a working musician, that's horrible. That's how I paid my bills. That's how I made my money. And it was really scary. So during that time when there was nothing going on for me, I wasn't practicing. There were no rehearsals, no recitals, no lessons, nothing going on. I'm sitting on the couch eating Doritos all day long, getting fatter and fatter. And I came across an advertisement for selling books in the age of COVID. So I'd written a science fiction book 20 years ago, and it's the best book you will never read, I promise. And so I submitted it, and the agent who read the manuscript said, "This is terrible, but you've got a good voice, so you should write what you know, and I don't think it's science fiction." I was like, all right. I had plenty of time, so I wrote the first chapter of the Violin Conspiracy, and I sent it to him, and he said, "You know what? This is good. If you write this book, I could sell it." So I wrote every day for 2.5 months, and I would do 3,000 words a day. And for 2.5 months later, I had the Violin Conspiracy done. And people often ask, "How did you sit and write, and it only took you 2.5 months?" Well, I'm a musician. I'm used to sitting and practicing, or sitting in being in rehearsals for hours, at a time. So it was no big deal for me to just sit and write, and that's what I did.
A lot of books came out of COVID
Yeah,
because a
yeah.
lot of people they couldn't go anywhere. And so it's like, okay, what am I going to do with my time? And it was scary for all of us, just looking back on it. When everything shut down, I remember being at it was right before Easter when everything shut down. And we were at church on a Tuesday practicing for the Easter performance.
Mhm.
And I think Easter was like 3 weeks away. But that next Sunday, we didn't have church. So it was it shut down so fast for everybody. And
Yeah.
so one thing that Daniel D did, the gentleman I was telling you about, because he couldn't tour, he started doing live stream performances online, and then people were donating.
Mm.
That was how he kept going.
Yeah, I wish I had that idea.
Doing like a 1-hour concert, and okay, here's my Cash App is, or whatever. And that's how he kept going. But that's good that you were able to use the violin even in a novel. I don't know if I've ever heard of a book with a violin at the center of it by a Black author. Have you heard of one, Rhonda?
No, but that's kind of what I wanted to ask, because you started first trying to write science fiction. So how did you come to the decision, why don't I write with what I know and write about music? But instead of writing a nonfiction about your life as a musician, you decided to take the fiction route.
I'm a huge mystery guy. I love reading mysteries. You know, I grew up reading them. I used to read Agatha Christie all the time. First mystery I read cover to cover was Murder on the Orient Express. And
Okay.
I figured that taking the mystery route would be much more entertaining than, first of all, I never thought anyone would be interested in a book about a violin ever. So making it as entertaining as possible, you know, with the whole theft of the violin, and then there's so much more to it going on in this book than just the theft of an instrument. And I was able to interlace aspects of my life, you know, things that I went through as a musician, being a Black musician, learning and the experiences that I had, both good and bad. So I found a way to weave those in between the story, in between the mystery. So you get a whole lot of stuff, not just a mystery and not just music. It's really all encompassing. So I'm really proud of this book for that aspect. And I think there's something in it for everyone. And me being a teacher, you know, I've been a classroom teacher for over 20 years, and I'm always trying to drop little hints of knowledge to people, and whether people want to receive it or not, it's in the story, and you know they get it inadvertently, but they definitely get something out of it.
Well, it'll definitely introduce people to because a lot of people don't even know that there are Black violinists. You know, they aren't seen that much.
Right.
You know, they're not visible like some of the other musicians are. They do have a violin in that commercial, the Cadillac commercials. Have you seen those? I think Weekend.
I would know what you were talking about if you hadn't said anything. Now
They're in different like color schemes. I'm surprised you haven't seen them. The red one, there's one that everything's red. There's one everything's gold, but it's the one that's gold is about the electric Cadillacs, the SUVs. But they have somebody playing the violin in there. They don't, you know, it's like just a little segment. It's just real brief, but they have it in there. So it's popping up different places.
That's good for me. Hey, hire me to
Yeah.
do a commercial. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
play for you, Cadillac.
You know, some of those commercials will have Black artists in them. It's nationwide. They have Black artists in their commercials. You might get your agent to contact them. That would really be neat.
Yeah,
Well,
he wouldn't. I think he'd be mad if I went to do something other than write. He's like, you need to be writing. You should
No,
be
it would
writing."
enhance your book profile.
looks that way. But
Yeah.
actually, I wanted to ask you, hardly anybody ever comes on this show and says that they were able to find an agent who, first of all, said that your story was terrible, but then gave you another chance.
That's true. That's true.
I
It's
was
mostly
very,
water
very
law
fortunate.
rejection.
I don't get me wrong. I've got a stack of rejection letters that I just threw away. That was this. I got like 100 rejection letters for that book
For
that I
the
did.
science fiction book.
Oh yeah, totally. But it's still a great book, and I'm going to rewrite it one day. I mean, that was 20 years ago. I kind of know how to write now. So this particular agent, he took a chance. He really took a chance on me, and I think he recognized, and he said to me, we're talking one day. He's like, "You have a good voice. You actually do," and he gave me that advice to write what I know. And I never even considered that because why would anyone be interested in anything about a violin? But that's what I know. And he just gave me some really good guidance and really good advice. And I also have to say, as a musician, I am so used to taking critiques and criticism. If someone says you need to do this because this is not good, hey, okay, what do I need to do to change it? I've been doing that my entire life, so that was no big deal for me to I'll make the changes. I'll do whatever it is I need to do to get better. So everything just worked out. It was like all the planets aligned. God was looking out for me, and He said, "Yep, okay, now is your turn."
Well, that's that I've heard that from other people in music that they're used to rejection,
Oh yeah,
or and it creates a tough skin, so to speak.
oh yeah, definitely.
Not everybody can deal with that. I'm not good at rejection. If I get rejected once for something, I get discouraged, and then I'm not good at rejection. So that's not one of my things that I'm good at receiving. I try to do well at whatever it is I'm doing. But you never know, and it's up to the other person's taste too.
True.
You might get rejected over here, but then over there they might like you. So
Yeah, I learned that the hard way with some of the reviews that I've read.
Oh yeah, okay. So now you're being critiqued in a different way.
Oh yeah, and it's totally okay. It really is
Yeah.
subjective. It's like, the first review I read of The Violent Conspiracy, they loved it. They absolutely loved it. And the second
Okay.
review I read, they absolutely hated it. But I was totally okay because
Okay.
one person liked it, and that's all I needed. I just needed one person to like it. So I felt validated.
You must have been doing okay because the book has been touted by the New York Times, and Ebony Magazine says it's one of the 10 books that everyone should read. So you did something right.
That's what I like to think. I hope so. I just wanted to write a story that people would enjoy, and thankfully it seems to have come across that way. So I feel very, very blessed.
So what advice would you give to young people, or even not so young people, who want to pick up the violin and learn how to play it, or any instrument?
For budding musicians, I would
Yes.
say you have to be patient. It's not going to happen in a day. The stuff that you hear on the radio, that takes a very, very, very long time to be able to do well. Anyone can play an instrument, but it takes work to play an instrument well. And I've been playing for almost 50 years, and I have not even come close to mastering the violin. Am I good? Yeah, I'm pretty good. I can hold my own. I can sit in any orchestra anywhere and be fine, but it takes work. Do not, and that's the one thing I really, I hate to kind of go off on a tangent on a soapbox about young people nowadays, but people just don't seem to be patient anymore. They just don't seem to want to put in the work. They want instant gratification, and I don't know of anything that works that way in life. You got to put the work in. If you want to be good at it, anything that's worth working hard for, it's worth it. It's not going to be worth it unless it's worth putting in the work for. You got to work hard to do it.
Yeah, I think that notion, well, it started with the microwave, but social media has perpetuated that, because so many people have a goal of being a quote influencer, and that happens pretty quick. But the thing about that is it's not a long-term career. So
Right.
I hope people don't reject the foundational things they need to know in search of a quick riches, so to speak. because life doesn't work like that. And you need the foundation, whether or not if you get rich quick or later, great, you still have the foundation.
Right.
But if
Right.
you don't, which is much more likely, you need the foundation.
Well,
Absolutely.
I love the fact also of what you said about, just continuing that you're going, first of all, that you've been doing this for 50 years and you still don't feel that you're perfect. Some of us in the literary industry, we wrote one book and all of a sudden we're teaching classes and starting publishing companies. We figured it all now. So I think that same advice still applies to the literary industry, that we're still learning. And as long as I've been writing for 30 years, but I'm still looking for ways to improve my writing. I'm still looking for ways to get rid of maybe some bad habits that I might have with writing. So I'm glad that you said that, because that's an inspiration that can go across genres.
Absolutely. And I'm the same way. I don't know, I just got super lucky. So I am constantly learning. I talk to other more experienced authors all the time. I take all of their advice. And again, going back to being a musician, I can take what I need and utilize it, and the stuff that I don't need, I can just push it aside. But I'm always listening and I'm always willing to learn. What is it? Because I know there's always someone who knows more than I do. And hey, let me know. I want to be as open as I can about learning. So as a teacher, I'm always learning. And I just hope to get better and better and better.
Well, Brendan, we're close to the end of our time. I do want people. This is the first book, The Violin Conspiracy. And do you have a copy of the Symphony of Secrets that you can
I
show so they can know what the cover looks like?
I
If they go
do.
to
I
order
do.
a
I
copy.
do. Bam.
Okay, Symphony of Secrets, and these are both standalones. So you can
Yes.
read one or the other or both of them. And if people want to follow you on social media, are you Brendan Slocumb everywhere?
I am. You can go to my website, brendanslocumb.com, and it has
Okay.
links to all of my social media. Not to be confused with my nephew, Brendan Slocumb 22. I'm the much better looking one. So yeah, just go to my website and you can follow me on social media. I'd appreciate follows on Instagram and Facebook and all of that good stuff.
Now, how'd your nephew end up with the same name?
My brother, my younger brother, named his first son after me, and that was just an
okay.
honor. And unfortunately, my brother passed away a couple of years ago. So
Oh,
I'm yeah, that's sad.
Well, I'm sorry.
okay.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
sorry for your loss too. I've lost a brother, so I understand how
We
losing a brother feels. So
in the chat, so
yes.
we'll be able
Oh.
to reach out to you. And I gave you a follow on Instagram, so let's stay in touch with each other, neighbor.
Absolutely, sounds good. Come and see me play. I will. I can't wait to. I'm all in. Whatever you guys need from me.
We have
Where are you playing?
Yeah.
I'm actually playing in a recital on January 24th in Alexandria. I'm sorry. I don't even know what today is. June 24th. That's January. June 24th in Alexandria at the Lyceum in Old Town Alexandria. And I'm conducting and I'm playing on a piece, and I'm conducting a small ensemble there. But yeah, I'm going to put it on my website at some point as soon as I get around to it. I'm actually heading out of town tomorrow for more book promotion, and I'm going to be on the road for a couple of weeks. And yeah, I gotta go pack. That's why I'm wearing this jersey now, because I haven't washed any clothes.
I just thought you'd like
Oh. Well, congratulations again on your violin success, your musical success, and your literary success. That's a wonderful thing. So we're glad we were able to get you on the show.
I am so happy that I got an opportunity to speak with you both today. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, I am this little thing that I've been trying to get rid of every week. I don't know what causes it. I don't know how to get rid of it. This little thing at the top. It drives me nuts. I turn my laptop this way. I turn my green screen. Sometimes it goes away for a minute and then it comes back. See that way Yeah, it's something to do with my green screen, but I still haven't figured it out. Anyway, I would love to get rid of it, and I will not rest until I can, but I don't know how to get rid of it 100%. So anyway, it's very irritating because I don't like having it on the screen. So we have 2 books to give away tonight, and then I'm going to just say what the books are, and we have trivia questions, and then we'll bring on our second guest. So the books are, I'm gonna save this other one. So I'm gonna only do one for right now. And this one is This Town is on Fire. It's by Pamela Harris. And it's a young adult fiction. It's very, very meaty. Well, it's a very meaty book.
Maybe for a young adult.
Yeah, but the words are big.
Mm.
You know, the print is big, and so it's not like small print. But for this book, what was author Pamela Harris's former day job? So the author Pamela Harris, her former day job is in part of her bio. And also, she will be on the show talking about this book. We're setting a date. It'll be either the end of this month or the beginning of June, somewhere in there. And she's been on the show before with her previous book. So this is an advanced reading copy, and it, it's not even out yet. So it comes out June 20th, this book does. So we're going to bring on our next guest, Stephen Van Patten. And Stephen writes horror. He's in the horror genre. We've had a few horror authors on in the last couple of months. Before that, we never had any on, but I wanted to get more exposure for this genre. One of my really, really good friends writes in this genre, and then she introduced me to some other authors. I've been connected with Stephen for many years on social media, but this is my first time talking to him, I think. So, Stephen, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV. Oh, unmute your mic.
The look on your face.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Now, you recently had some great exposure, great media exposure. Tell us about that.
Oh, great media exposure.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that you are referring to my guest appearance on the Tamron Hall show.
Yes.
That's pretty good exposure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
a little bit.
good.
Yeah, well,
So when you got the call, when you got the call that you were going to be on Tamron Hall, how many houses down could they hear you?
okay, so to be fair, you got to understand,
Okay.
I actually stage managed the show. So they all already know me.
Do you? Okay. Okay.
Yes, that's
a great hookup.
When I am not trying to scare people with my literature, I stage manage TV shows. Tamron Hall, bless her heart, is actually the first host out of dozens who actually decided to put me on the show. And in all fairness, I mean, they were doing a sort of a lit show, you know what I mean? Kind of like what this is. And the producers they were all kind of like, well, we do have an author right here, so let's give him a segment. And, I basically, the way they structured it is I literally took my headset off. The other stage manager that works on the show, she took over, I sat down, and we talked for a little bit.
Oh, wow.
Well, it's good that they thought enough to take care of their own. They said, we have an author right here. Let's make this author who's a part of the staff a part of this show, because that doesn't always happen.
No, it does not.
No, and a lot of times people don't want to, if someone has something that they're doing that's not related to the primary job, like what you were doing as your day job, they don't want to help with the side, whatever they're doing on the side or the secondary job or whatever. They don't want to help that, in some cases, in many cases, they don't want to.
Yeah, no, I know. And so in this particular instance, I was lucky, blessed, whole bunch of other stuff along those lines. So
Yeah. So
it was
Stephen,
good.
tell us about your writing career. When you like, how'd you get started in horror?
I
That's
got
what I asked
started.
all the horror people. What
I
made
got
you?
started in horror, basically because I was a little kid that was drawn to a certain kind of escapism. Um, basically anything on the nerdy side of things. And that includes horror, science fiction, the Marvel and DC stuff that is only now getting all this play in the cinematic world. I was already immersed in that like decades ago. And so as I got more and more into horror, I also started to realize that, like a lot of things, that as Black folks, we kind of appreciate, we also realize that sometimes what we appreciate doesn't love us back.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like one of those sort of things. And back in the day, the critique was a lot stronger. It was like, underdeveloped characters, stereotypical characters. And of course, in the case of horror, you have the Black character that's dead before the credits are even done. You also have the Black sidekick who is like the second to last person to die, so that the white savior can then turn around and be like, no, and then he somehow builds up the strength to kill the monster. And then there's always sort of like, and so I've had this running theory about, with the few times that we're included in horror and we're actually kind of a strong character. And I can use at least one example, the first Alien movie, where you have Yaphet Kotto, and obviously he's a very strong Black man. And he is the second to last, or he's takes a while for the monster to get to him. But it's also, I also feel like in a lot of cases, the monsters in a lot of movies, they'll kill a Black person, and no matter where it lands, it's effective because when if you're a non-Black person watching a horror movie, you're probably thinking, oh yeah, Black guys, they're tough. And so when the monster kills the brother or the sister, it's like, oh, well, I guess as the viewer of this movie, I need to take the monster seriously. That's always been kind of a running theory of mine.
That's an interesting take.
But what I have tried to do within my work is create Black characters that people take seriously outside of whether or not they're a monster, whether or not they're a serial killer, and to have flushed out, non-stereotypical, either anti-hero or full-on hero characters, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. I say that there's some characters have a Grim Reaper shadow over them from jump.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the Black character. I mean, it may be another character, but the Black character has that Grim Reaper shadow. Yeah. And meaning, if for those who may not know, Grim Reaper means death is coming. And they do that. It's rare unless the person's a star, and even then they may not make it to the end of the movie. Like in I Am Legend, Will Smith didn't make it to the end of the movie. But
the movie was going to end in about 15 minutes. So
it was. But
well, Will lasted longer than a lot of
than most. Yeah, longer than most.
Yeah, I mean,
but you almost know, like it's almost like that the Black character's going to die. I recently saw, and I didn't realize this had been in the movies. But The Thing, they did a prequel to The Thing, which was at movie theaters, and I thought it was new. It was on Netflix. I thought it was a new prequel, but it's not. My daughter said I was at the movies years ago, and then I looked up the info, and it was. I didn't realize that. I didn't know that. I saw the whole movie before I knew it. I knew it was older, but there was a Black character in it. I knew that brother was going to die. I knew he was going to either be the first one to die, or the second one to die, and he was.
Well,
Mhm.
how many
So
books-
now some of the movies, everybody dies except like one person. that happens.
That's
know.
true. That's
How
Like
very
in
true.
Aliens, everybody died except Sigourney Weaver.
how many
Right.
books do you have right now?
Or Alien, the first one.
Solo, I have 5. And then I have 2 collaborative works that I have with my 2 podcast mates, Mark Abbott and Kirk Johnson, Hell at the Way Station and Hell at Brooklyn T, respectively. And what those books are in particular, so the way that actually got started is one night I think we were out celebrating Mark Abbott's birthday, and we might have had a few alcoholic beverages, and just a few. And so he started, because at the time we were also under the guidance of the Horror Writers Association, which we all belong to. It was like, hey, it's great that you guys are doing X, Y, and Z, but what you really need to do is start contributing short stories to different people's horror anthologies. But we were experiencing some rejections. So in our drunken state, we kind of said,
You were getting rejected from the anthologies?
well, the short stories that we were submitting were getting rejected. I mean, and the funny thing is they all eventually ended up getting picked up because, you know, they're at least sort of good. But what ended up happening is at the moment, you know, we were throwing a few back, like I said, and it's kind of one of those moments where it's like you're out with the guys, it's like, yeah, we ought to buy this bar. You know, like we're all like, you know, in this like weird space. And you know, he came up with the idea that we should put together this horror anthology where it's just him and I. Of course, I woke up the next morning and I was kind of like, what did I just agree to? But you know, we basically put this together. It's sort of like if you watch a horror anthology movie on Netflix, you have an overall story, and then you have the stories that are kind of inserted, and you go back and forth. And the way we structured it is very sort of Arabian Nights. And we actually wrote ourselves as characters who end up in this bar we used to hang out in. You know, not to say that everything we do is around alcohol, but
Never think that.
so yeah, thanks. So the overall story is we end up sort of trying to entertain this woman who, in the meanwhile, is trying to trick us into being fed to a demon. So it's like we have the overall story, and then he tells a story, and then I tell a story, and then he tells a story, and I tell a story. And then we also gave ourselves, I guess you could say, some sort of like, I don't know, not necessarily superhero aspects, but we definitely do some extra stuff just so that we escape. And then we are in the sequel, Brooklyn T. So Hell at the Way Station actually did go over pretty well because we won some African American literary awards over that, which is very, you know, very great, the whole thing. And, you know, we're actually going to do a third with our other podcast mate, Denise Tapscott. So we'll have a woman's touch in there. Hell at Brooklyn T, of course, includes Kirk Johnson, who is kind of a unicorn in the sense that he is a Black sword and sorcery kind of guy. So he's not necessarily horror. And so having his special sort of sauce involved with Brooklyn T, that worked out really well. And, you know, it's like people are really digging that. And so now we're going to have all 4 of the people from my Beef, Wine, and Shenanigans podcast. We're all going to be in there. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a romp. It's just, you know, it's real horror storytelling. And we've also got a lot of witty stuff happening, and it's just a lot of fun.
Okay, now all of the things behind you, are those book covers of yours? Or
No, some of them are.
things?
Other stuff is just artwork
It's just okay.
that
Artwork.
people have gifted
So-
me over the years.
So, do you have any of your books handy where you can show us the covers?
Do I? Oh, well, here's one sitting here right
Okay.
here. This is Killer Genius 2.
Okay.
So I should explain.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
My Killer Genius series is about a hyper-intelligent Black woman who is also a socially conscious serial killer. How I came up with that, I was always kind of a fan of the Hannibal Lecter series. And what stands out with all of that is that he continues to outsmart law enforcement because he's this hyper-intelligent person.
Mhm.
No one's ever done that, at least to my knowledge. No one's ever done that for a, let's say, a homicidal sister. For the simple fact that, you know, whenever somebody writes something about that, it's always on some fatal attraction stuff. You know, it's
Right.
like the husband
Yeah.
did this, the boyfriend did that, blah, 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 blah. I decided I wanted to make a sister that was hyper intelligent, not necessarily worried about dudes at all. Just on some socially conscious, I'm going to kill some racists. I'm going to kill some rappers with some effed up lyrics. You know, and I'm going to take it like that. And then I pit her against a somewhat equally intelligent sort of Black Columbo-esque cat type guy. And then she uses his messed up home life against him because she's able to like hack into all kinds of things. She figures out who her enemies are and, you know, everything that's going on with them. And then she's still, you know, killing racists and other idiots. And that's kind of what she does.
So the Killer Genius 2 that you showed us is the Killer Genius.
It's
The
the
first
sequel.
one is the same. Okay, so it's the
It's the
same
same.
main character, same protagonist.
Same protagonist.
Okay.
Wink, wink, because she is
Yeah.
killing people. So
Yeah,
it's
'cause
funny
normally-
because some people take just the fact that you're killing people.
Yeah,
Some
as-
people take that as
the
oh no,
antagonist.
right, or at least an anti-hero.
Right.
But that's actually how I kind of look at it. Because you know what? When you're home watching Hannibal Lecter, you're kind of rooting for Hannibal Lecter, right? You're not, because the thing is Hannibal Lecter tends to kill jerks. I mean, yes, all right. So yes, he's eating them. I saw the look on your face. He's eating them and he's doing like terrible things to people. I'm not, you know, taking away from that. But the fact is, you know, there is sort of like a criteria for who he picks to kill if you're really paying attention. And the same thing is with my killer. There's a criteria. There's certain things, you know, because she is literally just picking people for the sake of their, I guess, the lack of character, so to speak.
Okay. Now Hannibal Lecter, he just creeped me out. So
Of course.
I think I never saw any of his movies more than once.
Mhm.
Because they were just, for me, they were creepy. But I know there's a audience for creepy. you know.
Yes.
Well,
So-
that's the reason why Jeffrey Dahmer has so many fans. Even though what he did was horrendous, there were people who thought he was amazing, and they were writing him letters. He wound up getting famous.
You mean the person or the Netflix? Oh no, it was on Hulu, I think.
No, I'm talking
It was
about
Netflix, and
It was
and no,
Netflix?
unfortunately, there are, with every serial killer, there's this weird sort of thing where they can build a cult of personality around them. Same thing happened with a bunch of other people like Ted Bundy and all those types. There's all, and Charles Manson, he had full blown, because remember, the women, the people that got killed in Hollywood, he actually was not a part of that. He sent people to that house, and
Right.
those people had created a cult around him, and they were taking orders from him.
oh, wow.
So unfortunately, there are, you know, it's like if we're going to go into real life for a second, there are people who are weak, easily manipulated. And if you're going to be a serial killer, you're already a type of person. And you're already kind of like a manipulative sociopath. So, you know, when you have like a Charles Manson or, you know, any of these other cats, you know, there's going to be, whether or not you did something incredibly terrible or not, there's going to be people that are, and unfortunately, especially women, that are going to be like, oh my God, that's so, you know, whatever. And I'm not saying that's makes any sense or that there's
No, you're not giving it a value judgment.
no,
You're
not
saying
at all.
That's
As
what
a matter of
happened.
fact, it's
Mm.
kind of terrifying if you
Right.
think about it.
Very
It is very terrifying that people can be that easily led to do those kinds of things. But you know,
Right.
one of the scariest movies that I saw that was not like a creature type scary was Helter Skelter. That movie scared me. It was scary because
Yeah,
they just
and that's the Manson story. Yeah,
yeah, that's the Manson story. It was very scary. I had nightmares. I mean, I couldn't sleep for like a week after seeing that.
yeah.
It was you know very
Well,
creepy.
that's the
And
funny.
the acting was the way it was well put together because it wasn't the actual killers, but you know the way
No.
they presented it those people who played those parts, they were really good.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and that's if you're going to put the movie together, that's what you
Right,
want. You
right.
ultimately want to have folks that are good enough actors so that they can bring all of that to life, so that people can understand the gravity of what happened. I think the only other thing I would say on the Manson thing is it's kind of interesting that he was also incredibly racist. I don't know if, I mean, if the fact that he had a swastika in his
And tattooed on his forehead.
tattooed on his forehead might have been an indication, of course. But
Hey, boy, could have just been crazy.
oh no,
Was he around any black people? I never heard about it, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. But
I want to say there are some rumors that I know, like, there are quotes out there that he said less than flattering things about our people. Certain said less than flattering things about Jewish people being in Hollywood. And because I think if I remember correctly, he was also an aspiring musician. He actually was friends with one of the Beach Boys. He recorded some music. Apparently, he's a really good guitar player before he died. But yeah.
now, did I read somewhere where you're doing script writing or movies or shorts or something?
I have one
that?
short in the works, but it's basically like a horror comedy thing. I still need to edit, or it still needs to get edited, and that's the concept of that is it's a zombie who wants to be a country music singer. And he actually goes on a sort of reality show, and we're still trying to put that together and edit it down and everything else like that. I'm hoping to have that done relatively soon. Time is always like.
So how does he perform as a zombie?
Just like he's a sentient zombie. He's not like a zombie like
he's not like the Walking Dead zombie.
Yeah, he's actually very sort of outside of being a zombie, he's kind of a very urbane country man. It's like, think Johnny Cash if Johnny Cash was a zombie, like that kind of thing. So that's
to write the kind of thing you're writing, you have to have a very active imagination.
Yes. I think that's my blessing and my curse. It's a blessing because I can come up with random stories here and there. It's a curse because I don't sleep. Basically, and then I still have to get up in the morning and go stage manage the TV show. So
to do what you do, right? I mean,
what's that?
You have to get up pretty early to do what you do.
Depending on the show, but usually I'm out of here by 6 o'clock in the morning. Yes, definitely.
I've always thought that, and this isn't shade against you, trust me, but I've always wondered whether people who write horror, they have that mind that makes them kind of go to the warp side. You can kind of, you think about things that people who write love stories don't really want to tread in those waters.
Mm-hmm. No, I think I know where you're going at with this, and you're absolutely right. There are times, or there have been times, where I'm in the middle of writing something, and it's not necessarily like, how can I explain it? There'll be times where I'm so immersed in it that I do feel like, oh wow, I didn't realize I was this crazy, but not crazy, but it's, you know, if I'm going to create stuff that's going to like emotionally get to people, then I have to be willing to step into those emotions myself.
Right.
And the payback, even though I definitely, once I've written what I've written and once I've gone through what I've gone through, and let's say I've either scared myself or burst into tears or whatever it is, I get the satisfaction after the fact
Mhm.
of somebody reading what I did and saying, oh my God, that scared me. Oh my God, why did you kill this character? Oh my, you know, the visceral reaction is the payback.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Okay. I kind of sort of get it now.
Mhm.
Okay. So it's just like for anybody who writes,
Oh, absolutely.
it's whatever you want to convey. In your case, you want to scare people.
And sometimes, so here's the other thing is,
Or make people,
or many people think, because I do slide in a lot of socio-political stuff in my writing, whether it's about vampires and werewolves, or whether it's about a serial killer, or whether it's about, you know, something hiding under the bed, or something transformative, or a demon, whatever. There, a lot of times I'm just telling a scary story. Other times I'm sliding in some subtext. And then I also, because like with my vampire stuff, they're living full-blown lives. So it's not just biting people in the neck and running around. There's thoughts and there's feelings and there's sex scenes. And so, there's a particular werewolf sex scene in Brookwater's Curse 2 that I actually recently had one of my guy friends come up and say, yo, you know, not for nothing, I was reading da, 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 da. And I was kind of like, and because he's a guy friend, I'm kind of like, you can stop right there. Like, I'm good. I'm glad you appreciated this a little bit, but I don't need to be walked through what the full expanse of how you were feeling
how you received it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Don't get it twisted. I'm happy, but there's only so much that, you know, I needed to talk about at that particular moment.
Do you feel that you have to decompress once you finish writing a story?
Sometimes, and decompression can come in a number of ways. Music, maybe lift some weights, maybe walk around the block, maybe, you know, watch cartoons. I don't know, whatever kind of brings me back
Right.
off the cliff, so to speak. You know, sometimes it's tequila, but you know, it like I tend to be self-aware enough that I can self-help myself, if that makes any sense.
I'm with you.
Well, you know, it takes all kinds to make a world, especially a literary world, because we don't want everybody writing about the same things. And so that's why I'm glad to see that, well, the horror genre, as well as fantasy, science fiction, and that is getting a lot more play now among African-American writers, especially some of the young writers. They're really taking off in those in young adult fiction.
Yeah. And I think nowadays, especially in our community, the challenge is really to write something that's scarier than what we're actually going through in real life.
That's a good.
And when Trump, and it was funny because when Trump got elected, myself and a small group of Black horror writers, we actually had a little like panel discussion, how to scare people in the face of the Trump election. You know, and we didn't really come up with an answer, to be completely honest. I mean, it was a nice little conversation, but you know, and everybody had their little, you know, stuff to say. I had things to say, but at the end of the day, you know, nothing like a real life monster to make things that much more challenging.
True. Well, unfortunately, we've come to the end of the interview.
No, I'm staying. Just kidding.
We love you too. We just have to.
Oh no, I know. I'm playing around. Come on.
That's funny. We do want people to know how they can connect with you via social media. And I know Stephen Van Patten is your name on Facebook. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, no. And that's
Okay.
the main page is the name, the government,
Okay.
as
All
the
right.
kids would say. Stephen Van Patten. You can also find the Beef, Wine, and Shenanigans Facebook page. The podcast itself is also wherever you would consume a podcast. On Instagram, I am at SVP Thinks. And also Twitter, even though I'm kind of questioning my existence on Twitter, because of course that's been taken over by a fascist. And let's see what else. Oh, my website. That's important. www.laughingblackvampire.com.
Okay, so I
Right,
just put
right,
that
right,
in the chat for people who are going to be looking for you, because they're definitely going to want to follow you after this interview.
Well, I should hope.
Oh, real quick, what's the name of your podcast?
Beef, Wine, and Shenanigans. Kind of a complicated
Shenanigans.
reason why we came up with that. But
Okay.
it's funny because that started off as middle-aged Black dudes talking horror and sci-fi, and then Trump got elected, and then it became middle-aged Black dudes talking horror, sci-fi / group therapy. So yeah, that's basically what that's all about.
Well, it sounds like you have some natural comedic skills.
Okay, I'll go with that. I have
Okay.
won a comedy writing award as well. So
Okay, I can tell. I mean, yeah, because you're good at just rattling them off.
Yeah.
At the drop of a hat. Well, Stephen, thank you so much for being a guest on Black Authors Matter TV.
Well, thank you for having me.
Okay, and I'll be seeing you out there because I see you from time to time. What you're doing?
Well,
when
I
you
should
post
freaking hope
it.
so. Yes.
Yeah, I see it from time to time.
Well, next time I come to New York and go to the Taryn Hall show, I'm gonna be where's Stephen? Where's Stephen?
I won't be that hard to find. I'm stage manager, so I'll be standing right there. So you can just scream at me. Don't act like you don't know me. I'm like, all right.
Okay, well, have a great evening, Stephen.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Good
night, ladies.
Bye-bye. Okay. Did anyone win the book?
Stephanie.
Oh. Okay, Stephanie. Let me see. Can I think of her last name? No, I don't know what is causing this thing with my screen. It's very irritating for me. But let me put Stephanie on here so I can. Stephanie, your book will be on the way. And our next guest has been on the show before. Before we bring on our next guest, I do want to let people know that the Black Authors Matter Children's Book Awards, that process has been underway for a few months, but our deadline is June 5th. So if you want to submit a children's book for that, June 5th is the deadline. The book must be postmarked by June 5th. So, and the Black Authors Matter TV award show is May 16th. And guess what? Next week, we're going to be celebrating our 500th guest. We will have had 500 people, individual people, not 500 interviews, because a few people have been on more than once. 500 different people have been on this show in less than 3 years. That is amazing. So that's actually the last guest on next week's show will be our 500th guest.
That's awesome.
It's amazing. So our next guest is Jayne Allen, and Jayne had a series of books about Black girls, and this is the most recent one, Black Girls Must Have It All. This is the advanced reading copy for it. It just came out. What was the release date for? Jayne will tell us what your release date was. Oh, Jayne, let's see.
Okay. Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
yeah, we can hear you now.
Hi.
You're unmuted. How are you? Welcome back to the
I'm
show.
well. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Good
And
to see you again.
congratulations on the last installment of the
Thank
series.
you. Thank you so much. I
And what
appreciate
day
that.
was it released? What was the release
It was
date?
it was April 11th.
April 11th. Okay, so
April
not
11th.
that long ago. So we have the advanced reading. Oh, she went away. We have the advanced reading copy. I'm going to, this is just, it's bothering me so much. I've tried everything. I've tried putting something behind me. I've tried putting something under me. I've tried moving it around. I've tried everything. I just don't know what's causing it. And I don't know how to fix it. It's bothering me. Sometimes when I change position, it'll go away, like right there. But then I have to like, I can't move. Let me bring Jayne back on.
Don't move. Don't move.
I'm gonna try not moving for the next hour.
Well, I just think it's cool that we have Jayne on the show because I literally just finished reading Black Girls Must Die Exhausted.
Oh,
Okay, that was the trivia question. Now I have to come up with another one.
Answer the question.
That was a trivia question for the winning the book.
Okay, what was
So
the
I have to come up with a different one.
No.
Uh-huh.
Let me look at the question.
Uh-huh.
well, there's 3 books, so there's maybe
So okay, so yeah, we can go with the second one. That's what we'll do. Okay. That was the first book. What was the name of the first book, Rhonda?
Black Girls Must Die Exhausted.
Okay. So for our trivia question, we'll do the second book.
Okay, you still could have done the first one. They don't know.
Well, okay, well, that was the actual question, was the first one. Okay. Okay, well, now they do, I guess. So anyway, Jayne, congratulations. Now, what did you come up with the titles?
I did come up with the titles. I did in collaboration. So my editor, Sarah Reed, for the 3rd book, she and I collaborated over the 3rd title, and that was definitely a challenging one to come up with to end the finale. And it seems the title seems so perfect now that it's there, but we went through it, tried to come up with what that title should be. So it happened, it came together, but it was definitely a process to try to get that last title.
Okay, so Black Girls Must. That's the first 3 words of all the 3 books. Okay. And it sounds more like a nonfiction, like self-help motivation than a novel.
Yeah, I can see that, certainly. I mean, it's definitely fiction, but for me, I've been a professional entertainment corporate, recovering lawyer, as I say, for 20 years. I just had my 20-year reunion from law school last week. But for me, my reading before becoming a novelist was largely nonfiction and self-improvement. And so when I thought about what I would want to read for fiction, it really needed to be something that I could take a life lesson from, and that I could really learn from. Not just, I'm not really an escape kind of reader. I need some kind of transformation, or I need to have something that I've learned. And so when I decided to write fiction, that was really what I was aiming for, and what I was focused on was to create a fiction experience through story that was definitely fiction, but and had all the twists and turns and drama, but ultimately had the substance and the meat and the perspective of someone who brought their intellect and life experience into the story, where you could really gain something from it.
Well, I will say I feel that you achieved that, because your main character, really, Tabby, she took me through all of the emotions, because there were some times I just wanted to shake her. I'm like, will you just listen? You're not listening. And there were other times I'm like, okay, Tabby, I'm with you on this one. So she just brought me through all of the emotions. And I like characters where you don't feel one way about the character. You know, there are sometimes you're going to be loving them, and then other times you maybe don't love them so much. But that's what makes the character complicated and it makes them interesting because nobody is perfect. Even
Right.
even a character who's supposed to be the villain sometimes has redeeming qualities. So I was glad that you were able to do that with your characters.
Thank you so much. And I do think the best fiction within when you have a villain, there is absolutely the need to have a villain that has redeeming qualities that makes them three-dimensional, even if that's the role that they're playing. And there should be room for transformation for everybody. So, people ask me, are there characters that I don't like or characters that I'm rooting for more than others? And I always say I have love for all of the characters in my book because they have reasons why they are the way that they are right now, and they also have room to grow. Every single one of them.
Yeah.
So is Tabby a recurring character?
Tabby
Yes.
in all the books. Tabby is the main character who we follow, the perspective character, the principal character.
Oh, we lost her again.
Oh man.
Well, I've been sitting in the same position and it hasn't been doing it. Oh, I don't know how long I can do it. Anyway, I'm gonna figure it out. Some weeks it doesn't do it, and then this week it was just bad. So anyway,
So
hi Jayne, we keep losing it.
Yeah, you know what this is? This is my fault. So I have these new earbuds and I keep touching them, and evidently anytime I touch them, it shuts off my
sensitivity.
Yeah, my Zoom. So I have to now I
Oh,
am clearly technologically challenged. This is my fault. I'm sorry about that. But I'm also at a book event. So I'm getting ready to start an event with Crystal Smith Paul. She's a debut author, Black female author, and her book is Did You Hear About Kitty Carr? So it's her pub day, and I am moderating the conversation with her. So we're at a bookstore, Diesel Bookstore in Los Angeles.
I was
And
going
I'm
to ask if
dialing
you were
in.
on the West Coast, because if it was a book event starting soon,
I said it's kind of late to be trying to do a book event.
Yeah, on a
Oh
Tuesday.
no! Oh no! It's bright and sunny outside still on the West Coast.
Oh, okay. Well, and you did make me aware of her book, so we're looking at that.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm really happy to. I think that's so much a part of now that I'm 3 novels in, and kind of been involved in the publishing industry. I realize, especially for Black authors, how important it is to champion others, and it's so much more than just what my books or my books, but it's about okay, and who are you championing? Championing.
Championing. Champion.
It's hard,
championing,
right?
championing.
Championing. Yeah, that's what you have to say slow.
You have to say it slowly. It can't be a tongue twister.
It kind of is.
So what is Tabby's profession in the book? Is she a lawyer?
She's a newscaster.
A newscaster, okay.
Yes, she is a reporter, and she's on her career trajectory.
Do you have a background in journalism as well?
Not directly. I've worked in PR or sort of PR tangential, and I've done a lot of media work, but I don't have a broadcast career, no.
Oh, I asked because sometimes when I've read books and the character is a journalist, or if there's another character who's a journalist, because I have a background in journalism, I'm always listening to the way the writer makes the character report the news. And sometimes the reporting is not what a reporter would do, but yours sounded just like an actual reporter. I was like, she must know a little bit about journalism, because it just sounds like real journalism.
Thank you. I do know a little bit about it, which was great and very helpful. And I did also a lot of research. So it's been great to hear that feedback from journalists that it rings true, which is what I wanted it to feel like. I was really trying to bring this kind of four corners of reality, but give you this story that at least pushes the characters past where most people would go in everyday life, so that we can see their vulnerabilities and have and observe conversations that most people are not going to have in real life. So that was what I was going for.
Okay, so Tabby does what? Just generally, because we don't want to ruin the story for people who are going to read all three books. But in book one, Tabby does what?
Well, in book one, Tabby finds out that she has a reproductive health crisis, an issue, and
Okay.
she is having to rebalance all the aspects of her life to get to what she wants. And it just turns out that this concept of family and having a family is really the linchpin for all of the issues that she's been shoving down and kind of glossing over with this life, this seemingly perfect life that she's crafted. So this is the piece that makes everything kind of fall apart, and now she has to examine her family relationship. She's a very complex family dynamic, her main love interest relationship, and her career, which is the engine for which her dreams, should her dreams be fulfilled, that's the engine that she's going to do it by as a single woman. So it's that the first book is about everything falling apart and her
Okay.
having to put it back together again.
Okay. And in book two, Tabby does what?
So in book two, Tabby starts on a journey of fulfilling what she wants most, which is to build her own family. And she embarks on that journey as a single woman, purportedly, but her on again, off again love interest will not be sidelined, refuses to be sidelined, and is insisting on some kind of a role for various reasons. And so she has to decide what she ultimately the decision that she's going to make about the future for her and the family that she's going to create.
Okay. And then in book three, Tabby does what?
So in book three, Tabby is now equipped to really make the decisions for herself that she most wants. So in the other books, she's working on it and getting there. I think in the second book is really a story about authenticity. And the third book is about, really that last push, that last battle for yourself and finding your voice, pushing to the final finish line of finding your voice and using your voice. So that's the third book.
That's an interesting way that you were able to describe these books, because I feel like if you had said anything specific, it would have given away the first book.
Right. I didn't want
Yeah.
her to give anything away. I didn't want any spoilers. So, just wanted like a broad strokes. But I like that the storyline reflects so much of where we are culturally, in that a lot of professional women haven't necessarily settled on who they're going to marry, but their biological clock is part of what they have to make a decision about going forward. So, if you want to have, now people are they're freezing eggs and things like that, but there is a time limit on having children.
There is. And
reasonably. You can do it later, but I mean,
well, if you do it later, you had to make preparations to do it, really.
Yeah.
And the thing about this pathway for Black women, which I'm so happy to see more and more of this story, is that single motherhood for Black women has long been societally vilified, and unfairly so. There's the narrative of the welfare queen and all of these things that were just crafted narratives that were anti-Black narratives, they're misogynistic narratives. And for Black women, a lot of times I think a lot of women would have made this decision for themselves, but for not wanting to be part of this stereotype. And we carry that kind of unfair burden of trying to counteract these unfair societal narratives and caricatures that are crafted about us. So I'm really happy to see that. And part of what I was trying to do with this series is just to glorify the strength and courage reflected in this particular woman's path, and other women similarly situated, and just to show that we can be complete and whole just as we are, and we deserve celebration for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, and I think you're right that, and there are, yes, there are probably, well, I'm not even going to say probably, there are women who are maybe representing single mothers in a negative way, but that is not the rule. Often that's the exception of the rule. There are women out there who are maybe single mothers who are doing great things. And they still have their careers, they still have their degrees, they have children who are not getting in trouble in the streets, and I think often that's just not the popular thing to celebrate. We'd rather celebrate the negative.
That's right. And it's a politicized narrative that serves a purpose of the people that are pushing it. And unfortunately that lands squarely on the backs of Black women, along with all these other things that we carry in society with grace and dignity and beauty and color and laughter and joy. So we deserve to be celebrated. And I just feel like any opportunity is a good opportunity to love on a Black woman.
Amen. I love it.
Yeah, and also too, I think in our culture, the extended family plays a greater role for the single Black mothers than it does in some other cultures. And that extended family is very important in child rearing, even if you have two parents.
Well, it takes a village, and we do.
It really, it
we
really
do have a village.
Yeah, it really does, and it doesn't mean you're turning your children over to someone. It's the protection, it's the eyes, it's the covering, it's that part, it's the embrace, it's the arms around, and so that's what that means. Now, why did you decide to say Black girls instead of, for example, Black women? Or
because for me, Black girls, I feel like is sort of the way that I think of myself. I think that there internally there is this softness and vulnerability that we embody, that we have to layer in this this appearance of perfection, of adulthood, of everything being right. And I just really wanted to dive into the vulnerability of Black women and girls. But I just think that inside we are all that Black girl who deserves to be protected, and deserves a chance to be vulnerable, and deserves a chance to be loved, and deserves a chance to be joyful and celebrate, and to just be happy, and have that not be vilified, and instead be celebrated for what it is, which is a reflection of our culture, a reflection of who we are as people. And I just think it's a reflection of our beauty. And so that was, my thought. This story is really meant to show the vulnerability and beauty of the Black girls that we start out as, and the Black women we become.
Well, you're so right in that. Just when I think about my life, and I look back on the Gwen that I was when I was a little girl, I'm the same Gwen,
Yeah. Yes.
just a higher number. But
Yeah,
But
a little bit more practice, a little more practice.
but the Gwen that I was, the thoughts and goals and things I wanted to do, and always had a love for reading. Always had and started writing early. So I'm pretty much the same person I was way back then. So now I know you had a 3-book deal for this one. So is this it for you for novels, or are you planning some more?
I have a standalone, my first standalone novel coming next year, fall of
Okay.
2024.
Good
So
for you.
I'm excited about that. I call it Such a Fun Age meets the movie The Holiday. And it's going to be, I'm enjoying writing it. I think it's going to be something that people can enjoy. It takes place over the holiday time and really wraps in that whole essence of the season, but it's a story that is really not dependent on that. It's a story about people. There's dual protagonists. It takes place in Chicago and Malibu, California. And I will just say there's a Black girl surfing, and I had to do a lot of research for this.
Have you ever surfed?
No, I have. So this is part of my research. So I have a lesson all set. I got my wetsuit. I'm ready to go. So I will be doing this on behalf of my character research and my character in the book.
Wow. I hope you
it all.
can't swim, right?
I can swim. I can
Okay,
swim.
because that would really be a bridge too far.
That'd be the end. That'd be the end of me. No, I can swim.
Look, I can't surf or swim, so
I can't
Wow.
either. I can't. So that's why I said I hope you can swim if you're going to be doing the research for the book, unless you're going to have a real close companion, like holding on to you the entire time.
I probably
surfing
both.
is though something that you do by yourself. I mean, only one person can be on the surfboard, I think.
Yeah, I think the instructor's supposed to go out with you, and so
Okay.
you'll find out vicariously. So you'll read the book and find out. I'll put all the details.
Well, you should do some videos. You should do some videos so you can post them leading up to the release of the book.
I will certainly do that just to prove that I did it. Number one, I'm doing that for myself, but also for the book. But I hate to have to go, but I do have to moderate
you have another event.
Crystal's event. I do.
Okay, well, we want to give away your book, so we want to say good night, and then we'll give away the book once you hang up. But thank you so much, Jayne, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. This has been. I love talking to you guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on and all the continued support. It's so appreciated, and I love coming on. Thank you for inviting me back.
Okay, and tell Crystal congratulations.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time to talk with us.
Of course.
Event. But we will put your website in the chat, and we wish you all the best in everything that you do.
Thank you. And I do wanted to add that Tavi is headed to television. So I don't know if you know the series is in development for television, but the next chapters will unfold on television. So there'll be more to discuss.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for letting us know, and a double congrats on that.
Well, thank you. Okay, I'll see you soon, hopefully.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so we're going to give away Black Girls Must Have It All. But what we're going to do is we're going to, the trivia will be, this is book 3 of a 3-book series. What is the title of book number 2? And because we had put book number 1, but we're gonna, what's the title of book number 2? And I need to find the answer to that, so we'll know what it is. So let's see.
Oh goodness.
Okay. All right, I see it there. So let me DM you the answer, and then we'll take it from there. So our final guest, let me see.
We already got an answer.
Oh, we do? Who was it?
We should probably discuss, because somebody actually posted the name of the book before we
Oh,
posted.
before we ask the question?
Yeah, and then
Oh,
somebody came behind and posted the correct answer after we posted that.
okay, maybe we need to come up with a different question. Which we can do. Okay. Yeah, that's a tricky one.
Yeah, so Lydia posted the second book before we posted the question, and then Mary came back and posted.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a completely different question. Okay, Jayne Allen, the author of this book, graduated. She got her undergraduate degree from what university?
Okay, wait a minute. Jayne Allen
Received her undergraduate degree
undergrad degree,
from which university?
which university? All right, y'all. Let me hit send before y'all start sending answers.
Okay, so our do we want to get the answer before we bring on the final guest? Let me see. I don't see anything yet.
No, we don't have the answer yet.
Okay, so we'll bring on our final guest, and then we'll end that interview a couple of minutes early so we can give away the last book. Because we don't want to do, oh, Mary got the answer. Okay, so the answer is Duke University, and Mary got the answer.
Yes.
So she probably has the other book too. The book, the first book, because we had the first book in the series and we gave it away on the show. But that was when it first came out. All right, Mary Evans is a winner again. Okay, so our final guest is the debut novelist for the new imprint, Black Odyssey Media, that Entice's new imprint with Kensington. And the first book for Black Odyssey Media just came out. It's called The Accidental Queen, and the author is L.R. Jackson. So that's not the name that's on the screen, but that's her writing name, L.R. Jackson. So welcome to the show.
Hi everyone.
Hi, and congrats on your book release. I've been seeing Entice posting pictures of the book at all kinds of different places. And congrats on being their first author that releases their book under the Black Odyssey Media umbrella.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be under this umbrella. These ladies are amazing, so supportive, and are just treating my babies with the utmost care. So I couldn't ask for anything better.
The book is definitely your baby, so that's a great way to refer to it. And
yeah.
Yeah, congratulations. And you have signed with a person who really cares about your book, because everybody is not that fortunate. Sometimes when they sign with a publisher, the publisher is more interested in making the money or getting the book, but this person was really interested. This person is really interested in you. Entice is a great person. So congratulations on signing with some good people.
Yes, that is actually one of the reasons why I went on to self-publish. I had a publisher before. She was great, but she just decided that she didn't want to be in the business anymore. And I said, you know what? I don't really trust a whole lot of people. I'm just going to self-publish. And when the opportunity presented itself, just in having the conversations and all, I knew from the beginning, I'm like, this is a great place to be. And I felt how genuine she was, and just her vision for my stories just aligned with my own.
That's great. And Entice will be on the show in June. So
Great.
yeah, she's going to be on. So to talk about the new venture with Black Odyssey Media and where she wants to go with it. And she's also going to be at the National Black Book Festival with some of the authors. I don't know, she didn't tell me which authors, but some of the authors from Black Odyssey will be there too.
Yes.
With their books. So now where are you based out of?
I am in Delaware.
Delaware. Okay. Well,
Yeah. Probably far from you ladies.
And I was gonna ask her.
well, you're not that far from Delaware, Rhonda.
Well, yeah, I'm about, I think maybe 2 hours from Delaware,
Mhm.
if that long. But I was just wondering how you come to meet Entice, being all the way in Delaware.
Well, we had been Facebook friends for a long time. I didn't know her personally, but I just in seeing her post about services she offered, I kind of reached out and said, "Hey, I'm looking to find an agent and a literary agent." And she said, "Well, I'm not really doing too much of that anymore. I'm going this way." And we had some discussions about that, and that's how it led to me signing with her company.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
To meet good people. I always say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
So how did they let you know that you were signed? Like, and this is more for the audience, for people who might want to pursue signing with a larger publisher, or in this case, this is a new imprint. So a lot of times when it's a new imprint, they're more open.
Yes.
So what was how was the process for you? What all did you have to go through? And how long before you submitted your book to your pub date? Oh, I think she froze. Are you frozen?
She's not blinking, so she had to.
No. How you can say? Okay. Sometimes the bandwidth thing is
Yeah.
but it's not. And normally it'll just do it for a minute and then it'll unfreeze. So she may have to log back in. I don't know. I wonder if she realizes she's frozen.
Yeah, well, she's probably talking and
Let
talking.
me in the chat. Let me. Oh, okay. She went out. She logged off. So
Yeah, so she probably notices she'll be back.
yeah. Yeah. So because she won't see the chat. But because I wanted to see her to hold up a copy of the book, but I thought the process itself would be interesting
Yeah.
for people to hear about. So we did have winners for both books. Mary Evans won this one, and then Stephanie Burnham won the other book. Where's the other one? Oh, here, this one. Stephanie Burnham won This Town is on Fire. So we gave those away. And for let's see, is there anything else I want to, I do have her number. Let me see. But she hasn't logged back on. Maybe something happened. Let me see.
She might be having some issues.
She might.
She is or something.
Let me see. I'm gonna dial this number and say, oh, there she is. So, when Robert posts the shows on YouTube, he edits out any breaks. So you froze for a second. Yeah, hold on. We need to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I have no idea what happened. It froze and it just wouldn't.
It happens. So, yeah, tell us about the process that you did. Did you hear that part?
Yes, I
Okay.
did. Yes.
Okay.
So the process is definitely not super easy. You do have to send in, I think, the first 3 chapters of your work. They were very specific with their goal, very specific about what they were looking for. And I felt like they really wanted to make sure that I was a good fit. And I appreciated that because I also wanted to make sure that they were a good fit. So I
Mhm.
sent in the first 3 chapters of the book. And I want to say in maybe a few weeks or so, I heard something back. And we went on to have a few more discussions, mainly because I had 1,001 questions, and then I signed the contract.
So did you have the entire book written when you first signed? You had it that you just sent them the first 3 chapters.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you had the whole book written.
Like
Mhm.
that you mentioned that it wasn't just about seeing if you were a great fit for them, but that they were also a great fit for you. And
Yeah.
something very, very important that an author should consider when signing with a publisher. Can you maybe talk a little bit about what was your thought process that would help you decide whether this was the right fit for you?
Absolutely. So I am super protective of my creativity and the vision for my stories. And I didn't want to sign with someone that would try to make me change too much of who I am. I am certainly open to feedback and all and what would make the story better, but I wanted to stay true to the core of who L.R. Jackson is. And I love writing Black stories.
Yes.
And I found that in seeking publishers, that's not always accepted. A lot of the higher selling books are interracial or don't really have a lot of African American faces on the cover. And I didn't want to compromise that. So I wanted a publisher that would support my love of writing Black romance, my love of Black on the cover, and just let me write how I write. I don't write super sappy love stories. Most of my stories are romance stories with a twist, with a suspense element. And some publishers just want the same formula, just love story, happy ending. And that's not my writing style. I get bored really easily.
So do you have a copy of The Accidental Queen handy? So you
I
can show
do.
it to our audience. Yes,
Yeah.
a beautiful cover.
Thank you. It is. And they did an amazing job with the cover. Oh my goodness. It's so beautiful. I think I
Mhm.
Is that a photo of someone you know, or was that a stock photo? Or
no one I know.
oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no idea who this beautiful young lady is.
It looks like you.
Everyone's been saying that. Everyone's been saying that. But that was something else I loved is that I had questions about my input with the cover, with different things in the story, and they really do try their best to collaborate. But I am also respectful of the fact that she has more experience in this element, and I'm open to listening to their feedback and what they think would work best as well.
Okay, now give us a general storyline for The Accidental Queen.
So the Accidental Queen is about King Dafari, who inherits the crown from his father and is looking for his queen. He happens to run into a woman he fell in love with 2 years ago, and I can't give the rest away, but it's twists and turns, it's suspense. But basically, both of them have secrets that could affect the two of them being together, as well as affect uh, his uh, his way to rule. So
So where is he? Is he in a fictional place or actual
he is.
setting? What's the setting?
So he's in Africa, but I created a fictional country in Africa because I never want to offend
Yeah.
anyone that's from there. So I created my own fictional Africa, and I had so much fun with it because I got to create my own flowers and how the trees look and how the people are and their own traditions and cultures. So just the way that I would imagine it if I visited Africa, what I would imagine it to be for myself.
Did you base your imaginary country off of a real country in any way? Or was
No, I just completely just thought of things
Use
like,
your
if I
imagination.
visited Africa, how would I want it to look? Yeah,
Hmm.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Okay,
yeah.
so this actually is a queen. It's not like a metaphor, or
Yeah.
it's an actual queen.
Hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
and in all my stories, the women are actually, so usually in love stories and romance, you have the men that are the heroes and they save the day and they have the damsel in distress. My stories are opposite. I write about really strong women. Um, they are the ones who save the day in my stories.
Okay.
The
Now
men
you
are
said
still dreamy and they still show up for their
for
woman,
the women.
but you know,
Okay.
it's the women who save the day.
Okay. So you said you had done other writing and you did some self-publishing. So
Mhm.
what other books did you do before this?
Oh, I did quite a bit.
You have a lot of, did you write them all under L.R. Jackson?
I did. I wrote them under
Okay.
Ella Jackson. So I have two now that are still out there that are self-published, which is In Love with His Wife. That is a story about a gentleman who reconnects with a best friend of his, only to have never met the wife, and is in a difficult situation when he finds out the best friend is being abusive to the wife. So he kind of steps in and tries to help. And that's based off of a portion of my life, half fiction, half fact. I don't really say what's what, but that's probably the only story I've written that has some truth to my life and things that I've been through. And then there's another story called The Deceptive Twin, which is pretty much about a set of twins who swap for a weekend. So, yeah. The other stories will be released under Black Odyssey Publishing.
Oh, okay. So you have some forthcoming books
Yes,
under
I
Black
do.
Odyssey. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yes,
Good,
I
good,
do.
good. So you didn't just do a one book deal. Well, normally, publishers normally want at least two books.
Sometimes they'll do like maybe a 2-book deal.
Mhm.
You
Yes.
don't want to go much further
Just-
than that.
Hmm.
yeah.
Sometimes I'll hear authors say, "Oh, I just signed a 5-book deal with so and so." Like, did you really want to latch yourself to that person for that long and you don't know?
Yeah.
When? Yeah,
Yeah.
Hmm.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
think it's good when it's just a 2-book deal, maybe even a 3-book deal.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
ex-
5 books is a lot because anything can happen. Let's say the first 2 books really, really sell.
mhm.
And since you have a 5 book deal, you're locked into whatever you agree to,
Mhm.
regardless, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas you could have, gone somewhere else or renegotiated. I don't know. I don't think they let you renegotiate when you have a contract. I don't think. Well,
Yeah.
let me say this, anything's possible, but usually they don't.
Yeah.
No, usually
Yeah.
they don't. That's the whole point of them signing you up.
Yeah.
Whoever, not Black Odyssey, just anybody.
Have you
Yes.
decided, or have you all agreed upon when the next book is going to be released?
I don't have a release date for that as of yet.
Okay.
Okay, and is it related to the Accidental Queen or is it a standalone?
So the Accidental Queen, that is going to be a world. So it's going to be, so there is another story that'll be coming out of that, but that's not the next one being released. The
Okay.
next one being released is my only non-romance book, and so I wrote this book when Trump was running for office, and it's called Tainted Liberties. Um, and it's just about just race and religion and discrimination. I took uh, fictional characters and things that I was hearing from real people. I made them into fictional characters. So you have the races, you have the young man who's a homosexual and his parents won't accept it. So I took all these people that have all these inner workings and kind of combine them into one story. So that'll be coming sometime soon. That's still kind of in the early stages of covers, editing, and all that good stuff. So, but people can be on the lookout for that when it hits my social media if they're following me.
Okay.
Well, we're sitting here asking you about when is the next book come out. You should just be enjoying the book that just came out.
I
Yeah,
am.
because it just came out. I think it came out last
Yeah,
Tuesday. Was it
it
last Tuesday?
did.
Okay.
Yes, it did. And
Yeah.
I never listened to audio. I don't think I've ever listened to an audio book because I zone out too much. But I actually listened to my own audio for the first time, my first ever audio book.
Okay.
And
So it's an
yeah,
audio.
You read
yeah,
Okay.
it yourself?
it's amazing. Huh?
You read it yourself?
Did
Or
I
voice
read?
Narrated.
Oh, no, I didn't narrate it. No.
Oh,
Okay.
No, but the narrators did an amazing job. They had the accent down and everything. It was just
I
awesome.
love it.
It was awesome to hear. Yeah.
That's
Wow.
good. I think it's really hard. And sometimes listeners are really hard on the readers. I've heard people say, I just couldn't listen to the book because I hated the person who read. So there's a lot of pressure on the reader to make the story sound interesting and to make the feeling or the emotion sound authentic. So
Absolutely. And I think it's going to be different with each individual because I can listen to an audio and think that the male narrator has the sexiest voice on earth, and then someone else could listen and say, "Ooh, I couldn't get into it." So it's gonna vary depending on the person.
it
But
does. And
but
that's why I said there's such pressure on the
mhm,
narrator because you don't know who's going to hear the book and you
yeah.
don't know how people are going to feel. So
Hmm.
somebody who can knock it out of the park for you, you go.
Yeah, he did. He did. I listened. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is exactly how I envisioned him sounding." Yeah.
That's great. So you create this fictional African country. Did you name
Yeah,
the country? Did you give it a name
I
in
did.
the book? What did you
I
name it?
did.
Was it Wakanda?
The name of the country is Mafa Chico.
Mafa Chica. Okay.
Yes. I was doing some family history, and my ancestors on my paternal grandmother's side hail from Machapingo, Virginia, down where the Machapingo Indians. And all of a sudden, I was like, oh, I think I'm going to name it this.
Okay. Wow. I never heard of that. I'm from Virginia, but that sounds like, is that in
Yeah,
the West,
it's Eastern Shore, Virginia.
Eastern Shore?
Yes,
Well,
I'm from Maryland, Eastern Shore, and yeah,
oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
It's
Is
not
there an Eastern Shore,
straight
Virginia?
mhm,
from
yeah,
Maryland. Sure.
Oh, I heard of Eastern Shore, Maryland, but
yeah. There's Eastern Shore, Virginia. Northampton County is Eastern Shore, Virginia.
what is it close to?
So you pass Salisbury, Princess Anne, all that stuff, and then you hit you cross over. No, you hit it. I think before you cross over the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel.
So it's
Um,
just it's close to the Tidewater area then.
it's a really small, really small. It's like a pass through.
Okay, because I've been, even through little towns in Virginia all over because my dad, we used to do
You probably roll right through it.
right. And
You
it's
know
one of
where you
those
were
ones
at.
where you don't even get off. It's one of those ones that's only one exit and there's no gas
Yes,
station.
If you
yes, that's
Okay.
exactly what it is.
Okay. All right. That's why I missed it.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting that you tied your history, but that's a lot of times how ideas come.
Yeah,
You
stuff
just
the inspiration
share your
just
history.
can come from anywhere.
Yeah.
well, that's where you're from. Maryland Eastern Shore has a lot of inspiration there. I mean,
Mhm.
I can
Mhm.
see a lot of stories being told if you just spent time there. I went to a writer's retreat a couple weeks ago out in Cambridge, And when we finished the retreat, I just wanted to spend some time in the town because it's so historic.
Born and raised, Cambridge, Maryland. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. That's I born and raised there. I moved away after college, but my family's there. My parents are still there. So yeah, Cambridge
oh.
is it's a beautiful city. Very
So
close.
isn't it water? Isn't
Yeah.
near Annapolis? Is it?
No, Annapolis is the western shore. That's like going towards Baltimore, DC.
Okay,
Yeah, it's on. So the Bay Bridge separates the eastern shore and the western shore. So
okay,
yeah, not far, but just not the rural scenery part of Maryland. So yeah.
okay.
There's a Harriet Tubman Museum out there and a beautiful mural dedicated.
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
meaning to post it. I took some pictures of it, and I felt like her eyes were following me.
It's really,
Wow.
really, really pretty. All that, we didn't have any of that growing up. All of that stuff is new.
Yeah.
Of course, we heard about Harriet Tubman and who she was and all that, but we didn't have any of the stuff of what they're doing now. So I'm glad that, they're doing things different for the next generation that
That's some history. So what kind of have you gotten much feedback from readers yet on your book?
I have. So far, everyone's loving it, and that just makes me so happy. People are enjoying the suspense element of it. They're enjoying the love between Dafari and Ebony. They're appreciating the plot twist. And it's just so good to hear.
Well, you got a big smile on your face, and that's great. Congratulations
Thank
on being the
you.
first from Black Odyssey Media. I'm excited for Entice because she's been around a while and
She
she's
has.
always sharing.
Mm-hmm.
She's never selfish with
Yeah.
her knowledge, and so she has our support, and she supports what we're doing with the book festival, with the show. So we have to support each other toward greatness and whatever our goals are.
Absolutely.
That's what's going to make it work for everyone.
Absolutely. And it feels good when you are working with someone that you don't have to question, someone that has your best interest at heart. It makes it easier to just do the writing, knowing that
Yes.
everything else will be taken care of.
Yeah.
So, and I can just work on my craft and what I need to do. So,
Okay.
and
Well,
now that I have this beautiful shirt, I'm gonna wear this everywhere now.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
Oh,
It's
okay.
so nice. It's so nice. So,
Well, great. Thank you so much. And congratulations again.
thank
Everybody
you.
get a copy of The Accidental Queen by L.R. Jackson. And
Thank you. Thank you.
we're expecting many more great things from you.
Yes, yes. And I hope to talk to you ladies again. And thank you so much for having me on.
Well, thank you for being here tonight, and best wishes on all you do. We hope to see you in Houston.
Yes, I would love to come and try all the food that Houston has to offer. Yes. You ladies have a good night.
Okay, you too.
All righty, bye.
Okay, well, that's our show for this week. I do want to remind people, 2 weeks from tonight, we have the Black Authors Matter TV Awards, where we'll be giving awards to the winners in 15 categories of the best interviews that we had over the past year based on your votes. So we're excited about that. And we have a beautiful promotional video that we'll be posting in the next couple of days. So be on the lookout for that. And in the meantime, continue to do lots of reading, continue to support African-American literature, and continue to support the show. We'll see you next Tuesday on Black Authors Matter TV. I'm Gwen Richardson signing off.
And I'm Dr. Rhonda Lawson. Have a wonderful evening and a great week.
Thank you for tuning in, and join us next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern for another edition of Black Authors Matter TV.